Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this afternoon's live commentary stream on the channel as we have a little Fast Friday action for you here on this Friday evening as we have NASCAR Cup Series full practice for Sunday's running of the Iowa Corn 350. It's going to be an interesting 150-minute practice session and a somewhat repaved racetrack at the Iowa Speedway. A new racetrack for the NASCAR Cup Series, of course. It'll be their first turn to take place at the short track out in Iowa here this weekend. The NASCAR Xfinity Series race will be tomorrow. They have already practiced today, so this track has taken a little bit of rubber over the last hour or so, and about to have some more with the NASCAR Cup cars on track for the first time this weekend. With this full 50-minute practice session, qualifying will be early tomorrow afternoon instead, very similar to how things were run last weekend at Sonoma. You can watch visually for practice this weekend on the USA Network, as the USA Network and NBC will be taking over the coverage for the rest of the NASCAR Cup and NASCAR Xfinity Series season. Now, the NASCAR Xfinity Series, while they take over control of that for now, in fact, the last 8 races will be on the CW network, but we'll worry about that when that time comes. USA and NBC for the next several months. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Of course, this is the first live commentary stream this weekend. We have 4 of them for you, 1 today, 2 tomorrow, and 1 on Sunday. Tomorrow's live commentary streams will be NASCAR Cup Series qualifying at 1 p.m. Eastern, followed by the NASCAR Xfinity Series race at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, with our Cup Series coverage Sunday night at 6:30 p.m. with our pre-race. Waiting to get the raw feed up for you guys. Cars will be hitting the track here in about 2 minutes' time for the first laps of practice. And again, this has been a repaved racetrack in both turns 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. The straightaways, though, are still yet to be paved. So it'll be interesting to see how these drivers are going to take this set of corners. The very top lane of the racetrack is not. Obviously, nobody's going to be running up there, I would imagine, because there's going to be so much grip down below. But it'll still be interesting to see how the lines are going to be had. Raw feed is now available, so once we see cars on track for the first time, obviously the laps will show. And all of the drivers this weekend will be able to take practice during this 50-minute session at once. We don't have group sessions for practice, but we will still have group qualifying when that time comes tomorrow. Let you listen in to some of the USA Network coverage then for the first time this season.
Races, the things that guy's done.
Rick Allen, Jeff Burton, and Steve Letarte in the booth.
He has that championship back in 2017. Second 3 times, right? He could be a multi.
Talking about Martin Truex Jr. announcing his retirement earlier in the week.
His 20-plus year career, from double file research to what's acceptable. I mean, the first slide jump, I thought Jump's going to jump out of it. He's found this consistency of racing how he wants to race. As the aggression has, kind of increased, he's stuck to his guns, and I think that's what he's going to be really remembered for is his respect.
Marty, yeah, respect. Probably the biggest word when you describe Martin Truex Jr. is how he was raced by other racers.
No doubt, a very clean race car driver. Rick, good to see you guys this afternoon. Spent some time with Martin this afternoon. He told me, honestly, going into that press conference, he was a little bit nervous, but now afterwards, he's relieved that the news is outing him to focus on these final 20 races. Going to get a lot more Sundays off, as Martin told me, but he expects to run still, as he mentioned. We're still going to do some stuff. That was with Joe Gibbs sitting there saying, hey, I'm still going to run some races, but I want to take some time away from the sport and get some time for me. And I think one of the things I take away from this Jeff Burton is that he's still competitive. He can still win races. And Martin told me my goal is to win as many of them as I can. I think this is a team who can still get into victory lane in these final 20 races, no question.
Marty, he also mentioned that, he wanted to retire on his own terms. Most of us don't get to leave the sport the way we want to. It leaves you. You're no longer competitive, and you just can't have that in championship this year. And, he's still competing at a high level. Very few.
I mean, when you get a sponsor that is really what your lifestyle is, Johnny Morris, Bass Pro Shops, outdoor living, that's what we know Martin Truex Jr. loves to do. And to be paired up with Johnny for 21 years of his career, is perfect. I mean, you've got a perfect sponsorship for that driver.
It's been a great match. I'll see a lot.
Been together his whole career.
Track on a Friday. Yeah, he mentioned family, but Martin's family, their company considers him family, and it was tough for him. Saw Johnny Morris get up on the stage, and it was tough for him to acknowledge and accept that this will be the final full-time season for Martin Truex Jr.
This practice it's started. I mean, it is. It is wild already. The track is full of race cars. You know, normally when we do these practices, they're split, right? You get half cars on the track, and half not. Now it's just everybody. Cars up the racetrack, they're all over the place.
So far fastest, Tyler Reddick in the 45. And yes, that is the Hamburglar.
Right now, Earl comes to us up.
Left side tires right on that white line. This is going to be a game an inch or thoroughly in the race. As the group widens out, if you go in and you miss that white line by a foot, the guy behind you is going to gobble up the air that you leave for him. You try to roll that corner just a little bit better. I think it's really obvious right here with the 45 of Reddick. Right behind him, the 11 of Denny Hamlin. I had to check. I love Joe Gibbs Racing, and I love it, but that interstate battery scheme moves around from car to car. I want to make sure I had the right car. Classic scheme. I like the scheme.
Denny, another one who should be smiling when he comes to this racetrack. He's had great success on the short tracks.
This one really strikes me as a Hamlin type of place, patient around that white line, if that's really what it is.
Now, though, there is a lot of throttle time. So much grip. See what the 3 of Austin Dillon does on this outside lane. He's just going to give the fight up. He is not going to put himself in a bad position.
Showing some experience there. At some point in the race, you're going to have to battle. Right now, though, you don't have to. Although you see like the 22 in front of them, look how they're stacked up. That just shows you kind of where the racetrack is at, right? We had the 51 leading the way of Justin Haley, and that's kind of stacked up these 3 cars right behind him. Joey Logano trying to be patient.
This is what I love about cup racing, right? These are all extremely talented race car drivers. They're just out there dating. I mean, they're just out there. Nobody's saying, hey, man, let's back up. Let's slow down. Let's come into fix. Like, it is full-on action right now. It's the opportunity to learn what your car won't do. You know, you hear drivers talk about aero push. Car's not good behind another car. Well, guess what? That's how you're going to have to race. And with this many cars on the racetrack, you should take advantage of it. Go see what it won't do. See what it will do. See what your competitors can and cannot do. It's a great learning opportunity.
34 cars are on the racetrack, but there's one obvious missing car out there, Marty. Why is the 20 not out on the track?
That would be Christopher Bell, as you mentioned, Rick, the team that tested here a few weeks ago and checking in with Chris Sherwood, the car chief. And the reason they're sitting here, Steve, is because they found out during the test, the track literally changed every lap. It kept getting better and better and better throughout that tire test. So they're going to let everyone else sort of rubber in the track a little bit. And they know that it's going to change so much that the read you get right now might not be what you really want to have for information. So Adam Stevens choosing to keep Christopher Bell for now in the garage while all that chaos is on the racetrack. What do you think about that move, Steve?
Well, I like the confidence, the experience that Adam Stevens is showing. He's basically saying, hey, I felt so good after the test that I don't think we need to hustle out there.
It's really interesting watching. Oh, the one car, Chastain, way up the racetrack. He's like enough. Well, it's on the entry. I drive down pretty far down pit road. Below that, you saw the 5 of Larson. He got in the corner and just lost the car. But Chandler Braxton was able to drive right underneath him.
This is the one of Chastain, that green with the white tail. Big wiggle, big loose into the corner.
Sure. That what he did was he just quit turning, right? He knew he was loose, so he just kind of turned the wheel to the right
to get the car going straight so the thing didn't spin out. He won't do that in the race because it gives up so much position. He would check up, get the car on the bottom, but the safest thing to do sometimes is just quit asking the car to do what it doesn't want to do. Just don't turn the wheel.
So far, Rick, I like the way this 9 to Chase Elliott looks. Kind of had my eye on him. I know the 5 did the tire test. We know they all shared the information. 9 to Chase Elliott got that win earlier this year. Super consistent. Chase Elliott currently 4th, now moved to 5th. Reddick's fastest early here in Iowa.
Still the first 10 minutes of our 50-minute practice session for the NASCAR Cup Series at the Iowa Speedway. Tyler Reddick is currently top of the speed charts, about 16 laps or so into practice. Ryan Blaney is second fastest overall. A.J. Allmendinger third. Corey LaJoie fourth, and Michael McDowell in fifth. Chase Elliott sixth. Joey Logano seventh. Ty Gibbs 8th, Kyle Busch 9th, and Ryan Preece is 11th, Chris Buescher 12th, Justin Haley 13th, William Byron 14th, Alex Bowman 15th. Noah Gragson in 16th, Denny Hamlin 17th, Daniel Hemrick 18th, Kaz Grella 19th, and Bubba Wallace is 20th. 21st is Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Larson 22nd, Chase Briscoe 23rd. 24th for John Hunter Nemechek, Austin Cindric 25th, Brad Keselowski 26th, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 27th, 28th for Harrison Burton, Josh Berry 29th, and Austin Dillon 30th. Ty Gilliland 31st, Zane Smith 32nd, Carson Hocevar 33rd, Eric Jones 34th, Daniel Suarez 35th, and Christopher Bell, the only driver who has not hit the racetrack yet, and until he hits the racetrack, will be 36th. Few cars have only made a lap or 2 or 3, and those are the drivers at the very bottom of the list, but you can definitely tell the drivers with the most laps are the ones that are up towards the very top. Just gaining all that knowledge where they have to push the car a little harder, where they can gain more time, and overall just getting a better feel for the racetrack and their car over the course of the longer run. A lot of these laps that have been the quickest by a lot of these drivers too, kind of in the middle of the run, around lap 11, 12, 10. See there, for a lot of the drivers up inside the top 10, their fastest times are after their 10th lap. It's a very unique circumstance with having the corners repaved, but not the straightaways. And the corners in the middle to bottom of the racetrack and not the very top. More of the track is paved in 3 and 4 up towards the wall, again with the way the repave was had at the Iowa Speedway. And I would imagine that the full track will be repaved before next season. But interesting circumstance here for this weekend's race. If you look at the point standings right on our screen right now, Kyle Larson comes in with a points lead of 14 over his teammate Chase Elliott. Denny Hamlin's 26 points out of first and third. Tyler Reddick 49 points out of first, fourth in the standings, and fifth is Martin Truex Jr., who had announced earlier this weekend that this is going to be his final full-time NASCAR Cup Series season. He's got a little over half the year yet to go, 16 races down, another 20 remain, as he still looks for his first win of his final season. So those are all the drivers within one race worth of points of the regular season championship, and the regular season champion gets 15 additional playoff points. Drivers who are locked into the playoffs with wins would include Kyle Larson with 3, getting his third last week. Denny Hamlin has 3 all on short tracks, and William Byron has 3 as well. 2 wins for Christopher Bell, and then 1 win apiece for Daniel Suarez, Austin Cindric, Chase Elliott, Brad Keselowski, and Tyler Reddick. The drivers without a win who would be in the playoffs if they started today: Martin Truex Jr. is the highest in the points without a win. Then you got Ty Gibbs, who's 8th in the driver's standings. Ross Chastain is 10th in the driver's standings. Everybody outside the top 10 who would be inside the playoff cut line would include behind Ross Chastain would be Alex Bowman, Ryan Blaney, Chris Buescher, and then Bubba Wallace is the last driver in on points. Wallace is 8 points to the good over Joey Logano. Chase Briscoe's 27 points out. And then 20th in the point standings right now is Michael McDowell, who's over a full race worth of points out. On-track activity still going on right now. Ty Gibbs actually had a flat right front tire. He's pulled his way into the garage area. It doesn't look to be too much damage on the 54, but cut tire for Ty Gibbs. We are still green. No caution.
Yes, Steve, great point. You know, some things in racing that go your way and some things don't. And in that case, that tire and Ty feeling it down the back straightaway versus when he drove down into turn 3 is the difference between getting the backup car out and just getting this car fixed. No contact. That thing blows getting into turn 3, Barney. He is going to hit the wall. Yeah, that was very fortunate timing. And look at this. It's going to take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 just to get the jack underneath it. They have the 20 team helping them as well. Steve, you've been through this before. They finally do get the jack underneath there. And just to confirm, yes, Steve, you are correct. 24 straight laps for Ty Gibbs. 0 indication there was anything wrong with the tires. So a lot of interested teams looking at this right front that came off the 54 part.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of focus on that tire. You just ask yourself, did he run something over? Any of that's possible. But is it wear and tear? Did he have too low air pressure, too much toe, too much camber? Use that right front tire early, then it starts to have a slow leak, and it finally goes down on air enough that it fails completely.
And regarding tires, this being the first time that the Cup Series has run here in Iowa, there was the tire test. We talked about that. It was May 28th. They used the tire from North Wilkesboro, the All-Star race, their primary tire is the one that they're using here on this track.
Yeah, it's hard, right? Because Richmond looks like this, but with the repave, this place now has a totally different feel. That's why that primary tire from Wilkesboro really fit. Remember, that track was repaved, as you mentioned. Behind this 99 is a 20 of Bell. So far, he looks really good on the time chart. It's hard to compare because he did win the garage. Maybe the track is a little bit better.
Well, Bell has 13 laps on his tires. And Suarez has 10. So both of these guys, very low laps on tires, which we don't think that matters on speed. But what could happen if the track could get faster as it gets rubbered in. Both of these guys going out later having good speed.
Oh, here we go. Wow, the 99 quit. I thought Bell. I want to see what this lap looks like. So Bell's been running 2350s behind the 99. Let's ride on board for a whole lap. He'll finish this lap. This isn't a totally clean lap, and then we'll see what the next lap time is. So he's running 50s following the 99. That's a 60 with a little traffic.
Listen how early he lifts getting in the corner. Wasn't able to pull the corner. See that? This is not a 1.5 mile type racetrack. This is a short track. You've got to leave the throttle early. If not, you're carrying too much speed. The angle of that. We're going to turn the entire length of pit road.
Oh,
He was coming to pit road that lap. They said run the entire length of pit road. He was getting ready to make a run down pit road. Tire blows. That is half a corner away, Steve, from not having this wreck. He was actually coming to pit road.
So if he's coming to pit road, he was going very fast right there. Could this be a brake issue?
No, I don't think so. I think the right front tire goes flat. Watch the splitter. Yeah. I don't see anything come through the hood like a brake rotor would come through the hood if it exploded. And they're not using really any brake on the racetrack. When we were on board with him, it was barely any brake pressure. So I think that the right front just loses air. And then the angle of impact is so high.
But to your point, Rick, we heard him say, come to pit road. That may have been coming the next time. Because his pace was so high.
He's fast right there in the center of the turn. So the 20 did the tire test here. He waited 8 minutes before he came out onto the track. And then 19 laps into his run, the right front tire blows and hard into the outside wall.
all right. Appreciate everybody bearing with me there. OBS crashed on me like midstream. It was weird. I don't know if you guys are able to see that on screen or not, but the whole screen, well, I should say the web page disappeared. And then when it came back, I was just like on the home screen for a minute. I was like, well, that's weird. As soon as I went back to the stream and saw that there was no data. So I had to reconnect that. We did miss Christopher Bell's crash live as it happened, of course. Perfect timing for that outage to go on. But Bell had a right front tire failure, smacked the wall pretty hard in turns 3 and 4. and that has caused, obviously, our first caution and the second right front tire failure that we have seen, both on Joe Gibbs' Toyotas, with, of course, Ty Gibbs having the first one, no major damage there, and literally only a couple minutes later when Christopher Bell had his problem. Now, Bell was the fastest car in the racetrack by far. 29.439 was his last lap compared to a lot of other drivers running 23.7s. Fastest lap overall for Bell with a 23.307, about 800s quicker than Reddick, who is second fastest on the board right now. But obviously, Bell will have to be going to a backup car. There's quite a bit. It will be headed to a backup car. As far as this race goes, or at least practice goes for tomorrow, Bell is fastest overall, as I just mentioned. Tyler Reddick is second, Joey Logano third, Ryan Preece fourth, and Ryan Blaney is currently your fast five. We'll take our first ad break of the stream. You're listening live on KRC to Cup Series practice at Iowa Speedway. About a half hour remains in practice, about 20 minutes complete, 30 still to go. And again, practice is on the USA Network for anybody wondering where you can watch visually here this afternoon. Appreciate everybody tuning in for a very early Friday stream as well. Second consecutive week we've had a cup practice of 50 minutes on a Friday. Nonetheless, they might have a full practice session at Chicago again later this season. I'm not entirely sure on that, but I don't think this is the last 50-minute practice session we will see this year.
Take on the second mile short track, 6:30 countdown to green, 7 o'clock, the green flag. 5 of Kyle Larson, another one of those drivers who did the tire test here in the garage now. And listen to the radio here from Kyle.
I'm not even close to the same on entry as I was a couple weeks ago. Like into three, I foul, and then I'm gonna spin before I ever get to the corner, and then similar to one, but turn three is like extremely sketchy. So extremely sketchy. He's talking about just not having rear grip on corner entries. Car's way too loose. Doesn't trust it. Can't drive it hard enough. He just much warmer than the one we tested. They dropped tires here for 2 days on the asphalt, and they only tested 5 days after they paved. So this could be a radically different racetrack than what it was when they did that tire test.
Well, I'm wondering between that, Bell had his right front issues, but his speed is good. I mean, he was really, really fast. I think probably the best car to the right front went down. So the question is, remember the 27 in the garage saying the track would change. Will it change for the 5 car? No. Unfortunately, if you're just turning in, we have the 54, or excuse me, the 54, flat right front tire, no contact. Then the 20 of Bell, 19 laps has a flat right front tire, heavy, heavy contact into the wall.
Noah Gregson also had an issue in the 10.
He just had a scuff.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
Just a little scuff. Alex Coleman, can we see him in victory lane 2024?
I think absolutely. I think this 48 is continuing to win, the 5 win, the 9 win. Even when the 48 had those multiple win seasons, it's not like he was a dominant car that went to victory lane. He just kind of hung out in that top 5 and capitalized. This is the type of track where maybe he could capitalize. Other people have issues.
A little wiggle there. Stop. Down on the bottom of the racetracks like we've seen others. And Kyle Larson right back out there, even though he talks about how difficult it is right now, especially to get into turn 3. Back out there putting laps in, getting as much information that he can send back to his crew chief.
On that lap to the P2, and I think that's heat cycle. What I mean by that is, I think the new pavement is slippery on cold tires. You go in the garage, coming out on scuffs, car fires off really good. And Larson showed that with that speed.
A lot of drivers' fastest laps are deep into their runs, or when they came back out, it's just a retake. That's common. That's not unusual to see that anytime we go to race.
Short tracks. Kyle Larson similar. He's won 2 of the last 8 short track races. Really one of the hottest drivers in NASCAR now. Denny had a short stint at Sonoma a week ago. Lap 2, the engine expired on him. And we don't see that much anymore either. The engine's blowing on these cars.
Only the second one all year is at least really in modern era where we've seen this engine so reliable. It was quite shocking.
This team's had a great year. I mean, certainly championship contenders. Did he try and get that first championship? Or even say a few weeks ago, this is the year. Like, he is like full of confidence. Believes.
But what puts him over the edge? That's the question. What puts him over the edge?
Well, I think the first thing for them, it's he and Chris Gavehart and his crew chief is just they've been great together. And I think, I haven't always liked Denny's approach recently. Like, if I win a championship, I do, and it's one race, anything can happen. I think you got to own that it's one race. And Denny Hamlin, Hall of Famer, he is so good at what he does, and I just think that they need to own it. They need to own that, yes, it is one race, and not look at that as a bad thing. Look at that as an opportunity and go get super aggressive and say, this is how we're going to win the championship. And in fairness, you have to be right on the right day. We've seen the last 2 championships have been won, with Blaney and Logano. This time of the year in those years, no.
In his career, but you add Iowa, the list of tracks that he's gone to victory lane.
Chase Briscoe now to the top of the practice charts. Tyler Reddick is in second, 8/1000ths of a second difference in the fastest laps between Briscoe and Reddick. Briscoe's fast lap time is a 23.238. Kyle Larson is third place behind him. Christopher Bell fourth. Denny Hamlin fifth. Joey Logano sixth. Ryan Preece seventh. Noah Gragson eighth. Ross Chastain ninth. Ryan Blaney 10th. AJ Allmendinger in 11th, Corey LaJoie 12th, Kyle Busch 13th, Daniel Suarez 14th, Chase Elliott 15th, Michael McDowell 16th, Ty Gibbs 17th, Chris Buescher in 18th, Alex Bowman 19th, Justin Haley 20th, William Byron 21st, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 22nd, Martin Truex Jr. 23rd, Austin Cindric 24th, Brad Keselowski 25th, Harrison Burton 26th, Daniel Hemrick 27th, Kaz Grella 28th, Bubba Wallace 29th, John Henry Nemechek 30th, Zane Smith 31st, Carson Hocevar 32nd, Josh Berry 33rd, Todd Gilliland 34th, Austin Dillon 35th, Eric Jones 36th. So that's your full leaderboard for practice. A little past halfway. Again, 50 minutes in this practice session. And we are just under 30 minutes complete. One caution, which was for Christopher Bell, having a right front tire failure in the middle of turns 1 and 2. Despite the fact that Bell is 5th quickest overall, more than likely he will be going to a backup car for the start of Sunday's race. Yeah, we did talk about Truex's retirement very early in the stream. Got to listen into some of the booth guys talking about it as well. Brian Wally, Michael Turner, Wade Selinsky, Billy Kramer, Zavi Dayro Racer, Zachary Schuchman, Patrick Shelley, Dan Bowers. Thanks for tuning in. Didn't give you guys the shout outs that you deserved for being in here at the start of the stream today. We'll take another ad break and continue listening live to Cup Series practice on the USA Network for the Iowa Corn 350 Sunday's Cup race at Iowa Speedway. You're listening live on KRC.
Man, Tommy, right front goes down. That is a big impact, big angle of attack, Barney. Sure, Christopher's not happy. Well, not happy, but we're just glad he's okay. I heard you say that one hurt. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm all good. I think it hurt pride a little bit more than myself personally.
So what happened? You were right behind Ty Gibbs, who your teammate that happened to you right before.
Yeah, I mean, that's a shame. I don't know. I literally was rolling down the back straightaway, and Ty's went down the back stretch, and he was able to get it slowed up, and I'm like, that's weird. And I just did the tire test here, 3 weeks ago, and we did 50-lap runs all day long. So I don't know. That's a bummer. Obviously, the Rheem Camry was really fast, and I don't think we'll be racing that one. So we'll see what the backup's like.
Is there a concern it might be endemic throughout the Toyota camp, or do you think this might be isolated to your two cars?
I mean, it's definitely an eye-opener that it's fixed for the race.
All right, we'll let Christopher go and be with Adam Stevens in the race team. He said that he thinks it's going to be a backup car. He's going to go make sure, but just glad to see Christopher Bell's okay after that one.
And big hit there as we see the 10 working to the inside of the 14. Noah Gregson right now is the fastest. Chase Briscoe, second fastest for a lap here at Iowa. Those two cars running nose to tail.
Yeah, Noah's been on a little bit of a run here, maybe 6 or 7 laps in a row. He's had a lot of speed. He won on the board, and his speed throughout all of these laps has been really impressive.
So what does it say for Ford and Stewart Haas Racing? The big announcement just a couple weeks ago that they're going to be closing their doors, and now we see a couple guys out here running fast slaps at Iowa.
They're not going to quit. You know what I mean? I mean, look, this is a very competitive sport. Things change. Left rear flat.
Left rear down for Ross Chastain.
I'm thankful I'm in the TV booth.
Well, another.
I say that tongue in cheek, but that's your fear. So this is a very big challenge. When you have repave, as now the red comes out, it's a challenge for Goodyear to bring tires. It's a challenge because it's that magical box. You can just go and tip that tire a little bit more and go a little faster and take a pound of air pressure out.
He felt it going down on the front straightaway, was able to get it slowed up.
He stays away from the wall, but is going to climb out of the car before he goes to the garage.
Chastain did not make it all the way back into the garage area either, so we're under caution as his car had stopped towards the entrance of pit road. Another flat tire, third one of practice, in the second caution of practice so far. This is the first on a Chevy, and it was the first that wasn't a right front. It was a left rear tire for Chastain this time. Your top 10 in the practice leaderboard has Noah Gregson, P1 overall, with his fastest lap being a 23.129. It was his 28th lap of practice. He's ran 31 total. Chase Elliott is set for Bell after he had hit the wall before that and put up a lap time, which is 8th fastest so far. Denny Hamlin is 9th, and Bubba Wallace in the top 10 as well, in 10th for the fastest lap times overall for practice. And we are a little over a half hour in, and we still have a little less than 20 minutes to go. Yeah, Steve Letard's definitely lost his voice. He sounds pretty hoarse. I kind of noticed it at first, and then they went to a commercial break the first time. They came back, and it feels like it's slowly getting worse and worse. Poor Steve. First weekend of NBC having any sort of broadcasting with NASCAR. He's got a sore voice. And if he's doing the Xfinity race on top of the Cup race this weekend, good luck to him. I'm sure he just did commentary for the Xfinity series as they had practice before the Cup series, so he's just ready to get out of there in about 20 minutes time. Go to the local Rite Aid, get some cough medicine or whatever's going to help him with that voice. I've been there, though. I remember at the Busch Light Clash, not this season, but last year when I did commentary for it, I lost my voice middle of the stream, and I was raspy the rest of the way. It's the only time I've ever had that happen. I think it was just going through the off season or something there. First live commentary stream of the year. I was streaming longer than what the video game streams would have been during the winter. So I don't know what it was, but I lost my voice that weekend. And hopefully not going to be the case here.
Car back to pit road and back to the garage.
Sure, what's been more entertaining, Rick, the discussion on the one radio or this practice session? So Phil Surgeon wanted them to change the left rear tire on the racetrack. So Ross Chastain asked the tow truck driver, hey, can you change the left rear right here for me? They said, no, we cannot. And then they offered to put it on a dolly. And Phil said, I don't know what a dolly looks like. And now they're going to tow it on both the front and the rear with two different tow trucks. I don't know how this is going to work, but all in an effort to not mess up the splitter on the one car. So it's been very interesting to listen to this radio as to how they're going to get this one car back here to the garage area.
Yeah, and the problem is that clock continues to tick on the upper left corner of your screen here. Even though it's red flag, NASCAR could extend this practice, but everybody else is not able to get out on the track and get practice time in because of what's going on with the one car.
All right.
They've lifted this thing completely off the ground.
No, thank you. That's my race car. Just put it back down. Drive it around. I'll change the parts.
So this is how when a car got wrecked at South Boston Speedway, when I was 16 years old, they would do it. They'd pick the car up in the front. The wrecker in the front's going to go forward. The wrecker in the back's backed up. He's going to reverse it.
This sounds like it could go horribly wrong.
And it's typically though, Steve, it's done when you can't tow a car. Like it's got so much damage that you can't tow it. In this situation, they're picking it up and they're trying to set it on these dollies, so they can get the car set down where it'll sit on. You can see underneath the car they've got this dolly system. They're going to try to set it down on that and then get it back to pit road so it just doesn't damage any of the underbody. The underbody in these cars is so critical to the performance. And it's measured in thousandths of an inch. So if you drag this car back and you damage the underbody, it's almost impossible here at the racetrack to get it back like you can get it at the racetrack. So here in practice, they're going to do everything they can to keep from damaging this one car because it would affect their performance.
Well, we know it's a historic weekend to race in Iowa for the Cup Series, but maybe seeing something for the first time here, get this car back to the garage.
I feel like it's going to take them the rest of this practice session to get that thing back to the garage at this rate. They're definitely taking their sweet old time, it feels like. Not that they're, in no hurry to get the car off the racetrack, just a unique set of circumstances. They want to make sure everything is right before they potentially just drop the car as they're taking it back to pit road. Oh, man. Interesting scenario, though, to say the least. I've never seen this before. Any like local short track events that I had ever been to, like growing up, they were always like dirt races. I've never seen this before, to say the least. But we'll see if they can get that back to pit road, and all because they didn't want the underbody of the car damaged, dragging it back to the pits. I thought he was actually stopped on the front stretch towards the entrance of pit road. It was actually right off the exit of turn 2, maybe midway down the back straightaway is where he's located right now. So trying to get that car back to pit road is definitely looking like it is a little harder than easier for these AMR safety crew members. We'll take another ad break while USA Network is on a commercial break. Again, you're listening live to the Iowa Corn 350 practice session for the NASCAR Cup Series and Sunday's race. Yeah, it does sound a little bit like Darrell Waltrip when he was horse at Bristol. I remember that race because they did the boogity 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 as a whole, as a group, to try to help him out because he was had like a strep throat or something that he was unable to perform proper broadcasting situations. So yeah, it'll be interesting. Maybe they'll bring Dale Jr. back this weekend for 1 week only reunion, even though he's not hired by them anymore. Probably a weekend where they really wish they had him in the booth. They need that extra guy. Maybe Kyle Petty or Dale Jarrett could take over for Steve Letarte this weekend. They're still employed by NBC. Could be allergies, man. Tell you what, living in the Midwest my whole life, allergies not great. This time of the year, they're definitely not great. So maybe that's what's getting to Steve Letarte. Who knows? Hopefully his voice is back for tomorrow's Xfinity race, and at the very least for Sunday's Cup race. Not only hard for us maybe as viewers to listen to something like that, but I would imagine hard for him as well.
Tire that's down. They have said they don't want this car to be drugged back to the garage, so they're trying to lift it up, put it on dollies, and then bring it back to the garage without damaging anything under this car. But a lot of work going into bringing this one car that just has one tire down back into the garage.
Yeah, I mean, watch the left rear tire. Watch how it goes through the bumps and how it wrinkles the left rear tire on low air pressure. This is a very rough racetrack. You can see it on the left front and the left rear. Kyle Busch going through the same bumps.
bumps at Iowa, and under a red flag condition right now for this practice.
Hopefully they extend the practice time. This would stink, to say the least, if the last 17 to 18 minutes of practice ends because of the one team not wanting their car to get drugged back to pit road. I don't think it was so much, NASCAR taking the time. I think it was the team, maybe the crew chief of the one, Phil Sturgeon, being the one saying, hey, I don't want my car drugged back to pit road. And NASCAR trying to cooperate with him, and this is what we have. So, yeah, I don't know. This definitely taking a minute. I was kind of joking when I said it was going to take the rest of practice when they first started. It might. I mean, we're down under 10 minutes now. So it'll be interesting to see if NASCAR extends the clock for practice. I know the TV viewing window ends at 6:30 Eastern time, so they may not do that. Maybe extended by 5 minutes or so at the very most. We got a diecast showing to get through. Of course, with this being a live commentary stream, we'll do that now. I only have one 124 scale diecast left to show you guys from my collection that I have not shown yet this season. So on to the 164 scales after that. I want to save that diecast for Sunday at least with the Cup Series race. So I do have a 164 scale diecast. I have so many from my youth years. This one is a really the main reason I have this diecast because when you think of Iowa Speedway, or at least when I think of Iowa Speedway, I always think back to that NASCAR Xfinity Series finish with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Carl Edwards. Of course, this isn't an Xfinity Series car, but it's got one of those drivers with the paint scheme from one of those drivers in that race, and that is Carl Edwards. This is his number 99 Ford Fusion, and this is, I believe, from 2013, if I'm not mistaken. I think this is a 2013 diecast. Hopefully you guys can see it well. Obviously it's much smaller, so I gotta put it much closer to the camera, but Fastenal number 99 for 2013 Ford Fusion. And this was his last year, I believe, at Roush Fenway Racing as well. No, sorry, second to last year. He raced there through 2014, so pardon me on that. It was not his last season at Roush Fenway Racing. But again, this paint scheme is synonymous with this raceway. Definitely probably the more classic finish at the racetrack in the Xfinity Series years here. Stenhouse winning that race after blowing an engine. Edwards runs into the back of him coming to the checker. Just a wild scene that we'll probably never see a finish like that ever again. It's like a 1 in a trillion chance that something like that could happen. Oh, they're dragging Chastain's car back to pit road now. And we should get back to green here in a couple of minutes. Should.
What has taken probably 10 to 15 minutes to get this car off of the wheel.
How about change the tire? Well, they said they couldn't do that, apparently.
Yes.
I don't make the rules.
We do need a translator. It's okay. But yes,
Show on his tire. See now?
Jeff, Jeff Burton mocking Steve for his hoarse throat.
Don't believe it, Rick. And took pictures. What was it on my monitor? Trust me. Yeah. So here's the deal. They're going to pull it to Goodyear. There are 4 crew members here to help and put a new left rear on it because they can't get this work done, Jeff, in their normal garage stall because of 48 teams about 3 feet from where Ross Chastain and his team are located. So they have everything positioned to be able to take it off of the dolly eventually, but I don't know how they're going to make it back out for any practice here. Once they get it back here to Goodyear, get the left rear on it, it's going to take a while, at least that long, to be able to get it off the dolly and get the tire on. This has been fun to watch, though.
pretty crazy. You hear in the background cars, yes, they are making their way back out onto the track. So the track goes back to green, and we're waiting to hear from NASCAR as far as how much time they still have out on the track. Now we're hearing 13 minutes. There'll be 13 minutes
Added.
extra. So
Yeah.
that makes it 18 and 45. You see the countdown now.
So essentially, we didn't even lose any time then.
It clicked off.
Yeah.
So
Didn't even lose any time with
making
practice.
decision. But I think tires is
Good move.
so we could talk about them. Cars have had tire issues. Yeah, we've seen two right fronts now, left rear. I mean, that's not concerned. You know, fit in, put it over the set of tires on at different air pressure, see if you can make adjustments.
At the very least, Steve, it's caused a lot of concern, right? Even if you don't think you're on edge, you might want to be thinking that, you just hadn't gotten that far on tires. This many tire issues, clearly it's not just running over something. That would be very unusual to have that many. So this is cause for concern for every team. They're going to have to get more conservative.
That was interesting watching Kyle Busch in the 8s and the 5 of Kyle Larson, completely different.
Kyle Busch just, trying to get to the bottom of the racetrack. Truex with a lot of speed got into the back of him.
Working by the 43 of Eric Jones. Again, what we've seen so far, Noah Gragson, Chase Elliott second, Chase Briscoe third, but those two cars out of Stewart-Haas Racing, impressive laps.
So what's interesting to me is watch Noah Gragson behind the 5 of Bonford. Watch the difference in how they enter the corner. The 5 is up the racetrack a little bit, turns, gets to the bottom a little bit later. Noah is trying to turn early because he's wanting to get clean air. He needs to turn a little bit sooner to get his left side below the 5 car. Now, on a racetrack that has 2 groups, Noah could run the outside and get clean air by being on the outside of the 5 car. But he's afraid to do that. He does not want to go there because the track doesn't have grip. So he's having to actually hurt the way his car drives by turning early. He's having to compromise because of the air problem that he has. Need to learn which a car can do and what it can't.
Kyle Larson complained earlier, entering turn 3, he just couldn't get the handle on the car. I thought it was crazy how different it was from 3 weeks ago when he did the tire test here.
Look, I'll go so far to say that the track's going to change a lot between now and the time the race ends on Sunday night. And if you're the fan of a driver and they're having a bad day, or they're able today, or they don't run well early in the race on Sunday, don't give up. Because I'm telling you, this track is going to go through massive changes as rubber gets laid down, as the temps come down, sun goes down. It's going to change drastically.
Riding along on the bumper of the 23 of Bubba Wallace. And Bubba right now currently 16th in the playoff standings with 10 races to go until those playoffs. So Bubba would love to find victory lane, maybe here in Iowa. He's had success in the Midwest, won at Kansas. Earlier about this being a rhythm racetrack. You can listen to Bubba Wallace and when he's able to get back to the gas. Marty, is Roth ready to get back in that car?
He's ready to get in, and we have a rolling #1 race car. Congratulations on being the first to try out the Dolly. How did it go? That was interesting, wasn't it?
That was surprising. When they said Dolly, I didn't know Miss Parton was coming out to Iowa, so I didn't know what was going to happen to our Busch Light Chevy. I knew I didn't crash it, and then I was really impressed with how that went. They said like 13 minutes, and it was first time at the track. I know they've been practicing it, but that's the first I'd heard about it. So yeah, left rear tire went down out of nowhere. Really fortunate to get it slowed down before it hit the wall.
So is there a broader concern in the garage area just overall, Ross? Because that's now the 3rd car that's had a tire issue.
Practice. I didn't know about the other 2. And I felt mine as soon as it lost air off of 4. So I don't know. I'm not a tire expert, so we have the best tire company in the world with Goodyear, and they'll figure it out. And they'll give us recommendations, and the one team at Trackhouse, the Team Chevy, will reacclimate to what we just learned and go back out for a laps. I'm ready to get back in the car.
How has the track been, Ross?
A lot of speed, for sure. A lot more grip than I remember. With the repave, obviously, there's going to be, but there's still some character bumps. The straightaways, for sure, it's pretty wild. And then in the corner, 1 and 2, the tunnel bump is still there. So we're rubbering it in. I'm excited for the second lane to come in. Not there right now. I've tried it by accident and slid up there. But Yeah, it's great to be back in Iowa. This is ag country, farm country, and I feel right at home.
Ross Chastain, and he mentions how he remembers the racetrack. He has more starts here than anyone, Rick, when you combine Xfinity and trucks. 14 starts here at Iowa, but very different Iowa this time around.
Yep, the repave and tires have been the talk so far of this practice. We saw the 54 with a light front tire go down.
Fortunately, he did make contact. Then the 20 of Bell had a right front go down in a really bad place. So this is a big hit. Obviously, a backup car for this team.
Most recently, the one of Ross Chastain. He said he felt that left rear going down coming through turn 4, so decided to pull over onto the apron, and they used the dolly to tow it back into the garage. The Ribbons riding along once again with Bubba Wallace in the 23. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., the 47, has not been the season that Ricky has been hoping for this 47 team. Way down the list now, currently in the standings for the playoffs. 27th. Best finish this season, a 4th.
See what Ricky's doing, though. He's not on the bottom of the racetrack. So that tells me that this track is starting to widen out a little bit. He's making good lap time right now. Not great, but good lap time. But see, he's nowhere near the white line. And he's still able to run decent speed. So that's encouraging that the second lane is going to start taking rubber. He's really the only one I saw doing that. Now he's back to the bottom. Let's see if his pace picks up a little bit. It did. A little bit quicker down there.
Austin, back up. When Austin Cindric, winner at Gateway, now has an issue as he's up against the wall. Looks like the right front is down on that car.
So he'd been out there for quite a few laps. Going into one.
And we haven't seen the right side yet, but the back doesn't look like it's slapped the wall too hard if it did.
So that was the 20th lap where that happened. That's kind of been that number. Christopher Bell, 19th lap.
Yeah, that's been the consistent number. No, there's definite wall damage there. So Austin Cindric now adding his name and number to the list of many that have had a tire issue here at Iowa. Take a look and see what we can see with this one.
Right front straight. So Ty Gibbs had that tire go down early in practice. He was the first one we saw that his went down on the back straightaway. And the 20 went down in the corners, and there's nothing you can do as a driver. It just quits turning. At that point, it's how hard am I going to hit?
Austin Cindric for the right front tire going down. Here as the seconds were winding down on this practice session. And up into the wall he goes, and probably another backup coming out.
So Austin Cindric bringing out now our third caution of practice, another tire failure, fourth tire failure in general in this session. Right front tires on 3 of them, and then the left rear tire for Ross Chastain had gone flat as well. Noah Gragson still top in practice. Chase Elliott second, Alex Bowman third, Denny Hamlin fourth, Chase Briscoe fifth, Ross Chastain sixth, Tyler Reddick seventh, Kyle Larson eighth, Corey LaJoie ninth, Christopher Bell 10th. Now, Cindric didn't hit the wall extremely hard, so he may not be going to a backup car here. That'll be interesting. We definitely know Bell's going to be going to a backup car, but not sure if Cindric will be or not. If they can get that car fixed overnight, he'll still be able to qualify, with qualifying being tomorrow and not right after practice like we usually see in these shorter practice stints that there are group practices with 20 minutes allotted for drivers to hit the racetrack. This is a full practice, no groups, 50 minutes again here today. A little happy hour session, if you will. A little less than that, but still. Close enough. Still a few minutes remaining in this practice session when they get back to green. We'll take another ad break. Again, you're listening live on KRC to the Iowa Corn 350 practice session, of course, at Iowa Speedway. Once again, be sure to hit that like button on the stream if you haven't done so yet. Subscribe for more NASCAR content. Live commentary streams every NASCAR race weekend for NASCAR Cup, Xfinity, and Truck Series races. The Truck Series is going to be off this weekend. We have Cup practice qualifying every weekend with those live commentary streams, just like you're watching now. Usually they're on the same stream, but 2 separate days for practice and qualifying 2 weeks in a row. Again, NASCAR Cup Series action all weekend long. Qualifying tomorrow, the race on Sunday. And we have Xfinity Series racing tomorrow afternoon also.
And flag factor, all of the things we have run into here at Iowa. So proud that the Cup Series is here, NASCAR is here racing. They love this racetrack. And right now, I think a lot of crew chiefs and teams are scratching their heads saying, okay, what is the limit? What can we do to these cars that we don't put so much stress on these tires?
Well, there's a couple things going on. We've shown this shot multiple times for how rough it is, right? See, the tires are wrinkled up, lower air pressure. That can damage the sidewall of a tire. So how do you fix that? You put air pressure in it. Well, what's the problem with that? That hurts the performance of the car. It's going to not go as fast when you put air pressure in the tire. So, but as a crew chief and as a driver, you have a decision to make. Like, that the margin on these tires isn't as big as you want it to be. You're not going to lean on this tire on this weekend the way you came here thinking you were going to be able to. So decisions have to be made, and they can be made between now and qualifying tomorrow to work on the cars, change cambers, rethink your air pressures. It's going to hurt the performance. It's not going to go as fast. But at this point, there's no choice. The question is, am I past the limit or not? And if you haven't had a failure, you don't know. That's where the tough decisions come. Is, do I feel like I have enough margin with my setup and my air pressure?
I mean, that's the challenge, Rick. This isn't a line in the sand, a bold line where okay, 19's good, 18's a problem. Your camper, your car, the handling of your car, if it gets too tight, that's going to hurt the tire more. Like, this is an inexact science, to say the least, and that's what their challenge is. But to Jeff's point, 20 laps have been blowing right front tires. A fuel run here is about 106 laps. Yeah. So we have a long way to get to a more comfortable level with these tires, Marty.
Yeah.
Steve, you've been in this situation before. I did a very, very, very informal survey of crew chiefs down here in the garage area, and the most I've heard, 20 laps on a set of tires is all they've gotten out of it. That's what Austin Cindric on this set, as you pointed out earlier, Jim.
Yeah.
Laps, and then that went right front win. So I've talked to a couple crew chiefs who said we're going to have a real issue Sunday if we can't get some things figured out. But to your point, Jeff, a lot of this has to do with setup as well, and some things that are probably correctable on the team side.
Now, Rick, one more thing on what you had in practice. You set your air pressure, you roll out of the garage, you go. Now, that happens on green flag pit stops, but on cautions, you get 2 or 3 pace laps, and the temperature kind of builds up. Like, that's one more variable that, if I could race 30 pounds, I probably need to practice 31 or 32. There's all these sliding rules. Now, my driver's standing next to me. If he thinks 31's a question mark, he's like, I'm a 34.
Yeah. But and today, don't know that. Like, the teams know when people are having tire issues. You just can't go to 19. Like, you got to stop it at 17 on a set of tires. It's just not worth it today.
Yeah, already a couple cars will more than likely be going to backups. Here's Chris Buescher. Surprisingly, Chris Buescher, a great season for RFK a year ago, and then it was co-owner Brad Keselowski who has had the better season this year.
This team is for real.
Yes.
They're capable of.
Heard Steve Letarte cough in the background a few times already.
Pit road. Now the tire down. Taylor Reddick said, "I think I cleared it," and then he came to pit road. So there he sits at the end of pit road, not willing to move with only 4 minutes left. And he said it didn't go down all the way. He might have caught that one part way, like you said, Jeff. There's no damage to the car, and yes, he did catch it. That's a fortunate break. This extended time is allowed also, there's winners and losers whenever these things happen. One of the things that's happened is some guys have been able to go out and make Q runs. And typically in practices, there's not enough time to make Q runs, but that's happened here today with some stars. Let's hear what Kyle Busch and his team were talking about.
Looks like they're all starting to blow tires around 20 laps, and we've got 9 on these, so we won't break a huge long run here. For sure to be cautious. Let's do working all night long, fixing my car, ready to go. Yep, that's working.
45 had 19 laps on his tires, by the way. So here we are. I mean, it's just a consistent number. To Steve's point, that's nowhere close to a full fuel run. So
It's a fifth of a full fuel run.
For everybody, maybe a consideration by NASCAR to throw a caution early in the race, try to get the track rubbered up a little bit. Teams obviously have some decisions to make. Talked about people making qualifying runs. See Noah Gragson, he went out, fast lap at 82. Bowman at 10, Haley a 6 on 11.
Yeah, Gregson has run 40 laps. His fastest lap, as you mentioned, was lap 39. So, Q run for Noah Gregson. Bowman's on the racetrack. He's run 48 laps, and his 47th lap was his fastest.
21 of Harrison Burke went P6 with what appears to be a Q run. Ty Gibbs, he just went for second.
Also another qualifying run. His 45th lap, and that was his fastest.
I'm a driver. I'm loving it. I never get a chance to make qualifying runs in practice because we have, there's just not enough tires. There's not enough time. It's a great chance to learn something.
Taggett bringing his number 54 back down pit road and into the garage. He's second fastest, and the red and black flags have been displayed. That ends the first practice for the Cup Series at Iowa Speedway, and it was an eventful one at that. So again, an action-packed weekend from Iowa Speedway. It starts tomorrow at noon with qualifying in Xfinity Series. Then Cup Series qualifying will follow that. Victory Lane Review, that's the Cup Championship 2023 at 2:30 on USA. And Countdown to Green and Xfinity Series Racing, that's Saturday. Sunday, Countdown to Green at 6:30, racing at 7. NASCAR America post-race show. As we see Ross Chastain has spun around coming to pit road.
We talked about the challenges of pit road during Xfinity practice. We saw some Xfinity drivers trying to get to pit road. Let's see what happened. Oh, yeah, he's just trying to smoke it in there, trying to learn how much pace he can make. And this pit road comes up quickly. And I will not be surprised to see this happen tomorrow in the Xfinity race or Sunday during the Cup race. You cannot see the pit road until you get all the way around the corner, and you're just not used to that. So Ross Chastain learned, fortunately no damage. A lot of drivers are going to watch that, and they're going to learn from that mistake as well.
So the one makes his way back into the garage, and this time not on dollies. It has been an eventful day, and the topic has been tires. We take a look at the top 10 again. We mentioned a lot of these drivers that are at the top of this list went out and did a mock qualifying run. Gragson, Gibbs, Bowman, Haley, Chase Elliott, All these drivers going out, turning a very fast lap on one of their last lap that they went out. See Harrison Burton there in the top 10, Denny Hamlin, Austin Dillon, and Chase Briscoe rounding out the top 10. So the first practice for the Cup Series ever at Iowa Speedway. And the fastest here has been Noah Gragson. Coming up next on USA, it is Chicago Fire.
All right, we'll go through the full practice finishing results, I guess, if you will. As Noah Gragson was was the fastest in practice, top of the charts overall. 22.828 was his fastest lap. He was the only driver to run a sub 23 second lap time. Ty Gibbs second fastest overall. Alex Bowman third. Justin Haley up to fourth. Rick Ware Racing Ford up there. Chase Elliott fifth, Ross Chastain sixth. He had his issues, but definitely has a fast car. Harrison Burton in seventh, Denny Hamlin eighth, Austin Dillon ninth, Chase Briscoe rounds out the top 10. Tyler Reddick 11th fastest, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 12th, Kyle Larson 13th, Corey LaJoie 14th, Daniel Suarez 15th, Christopher Bell 16th, AJ Allmendinger 17th, Kaz Grala 18th, Bubba Wallace 19th, and Josh Berry 20th. Carson Hocevar 21st, Ryan Blaney 22nd, Joey Logano 23rd, William Byron 24th, Michael McDowell 25th, 26th for Ryan Preece, Brad Keselowski 27th, Ty Gillen 28th, Daniel Hemrick 29th, and Kyle Busch 30th. 31st for Chris Buescher, John Hunter Nemechek 32nd, Martin Truex Jr. 33rd, Austin Cindric 34th, Zane Smith 35th, and Eric Jones rounds out the 36-car field this weekend in practice. Most of these drivers ran anywhere between 30 to 60 plus laps in practice. I think Denny Hamlin ran the most, 61 laps. And Eric Jones ran 30. I see 19 for Bell before he had the flat tire, but everybody who was able to make it without any incidences in practice ran 30 plus laps. So definitely got a good gauge on where they could feel, at least for the short run. Long run, maybe not so much when you consider the fact that we had tire failures at around the 20 lap mark, just before, just after. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that's going to be documented over the course of Sunday's race. Shouldn't have that issue in the Xfinity Series race tomorrow. Mainly just a next-gen / cup issue, it does appear. So, yeah, I don't know. It's going to be an interesting one to watch. Could see quite a few cautions here on Sunday for that 350-lap race. We'll be live again tomorrow with Cup Series action at 1 p.m. Eastern. That will be qualifying for the NASCAR Cup Series. Our NASCAR Xfinity Series race coverage tomorrow will begin at 3:30 p.m. Eastern. At 6:30 p.m. Eastern, we will go live with our pre-race coverage on Sunday night for the NASCAR Cup Series under the lights at the Iowa Speedway for the first time ever. That's our last 3 live commentary streams this weekend. 1 in the books, 3 to go, 2 tomorrow. Hope to see you tomorrow afternoon at 1 p.m. for Cup Series qualifying. Appreciate everybody that tuned in for practice here today. A little bit longer stream with practice getting extended after the Chastain deal. And here we go. That's going to finish things off. Again, appreciate everybody tuning in. All USA Network for qualifying and the Xfinity Cup races this weekend as well, if you're wondering where you could watch that. See you tomorrow afternoon, everybody. Have a good rest of your Friday night.